Well, it's 5:45 on October 19th, 2025. And it's getting colder out, which is a good thing. But I just gotta say, there is a verse in the Bible that says, "Your young men shall see visions, and your old men dream dreams." And I sure do dream a lot. A lot of times when I'm dreaming, I'm like trying to get to my class, like I'm in a school, in a university or something like that. And well, I woke up from this one, and I don't know what was going on. Like, if there was a funeral or something, but something kind of big was going on, but I wasn't sure exactly where my class was, or who my teacher was, or what I was supposed to take. What it was. I didn't actually get into the routine yet, and that's the way I feel right now. I guess. Look, these places I go in my dreams. Now, this place was actually really pretty cool. All right. Because I've never been to a university. I swear to God, man. I was told, I had a good shortcut or something I could take. Something anyway. But it had this thing that you went down, and it was a lot of water and mud. And there was this groove, like this. Like that, and water went down it, and it didn't seem to be muddy. It seemed to be a muddy place, kind of. But a warm climate and everything, and that drop, man. I had a couple of them, and I was thinking, oh man, this is gonna be a long walk uphill. And I was going down, because I swear to God, man, it was I don't know, maybe 200 or 300 feet or something like that, I mean, the length, at least more than the length of a football field. Maybe a couple football field lengths. Anyway, down this hill, down this, big mountain or hill. And I just slid it. I just, I jumped in it, for the ride alone. Not really, not like I ever did it before. But man, I went down that thing, and as I was going down, I was thinking, whoa, man, I better point my feet forward. And I was going down and fast. It was like a drop, man. Now, I went down in my kayak before, I went over a waterfall in my kayak, but that waterfall was only 30 feet or something. But I never went down a waterfall before, and I mean, it's a feeling of anticipation when you're coming up to the brink of a waterfall and going down it. And you got to go down the right place. And they had a guide when I went down it. They had a guide out there on a rock, pointing, where to go over at. Because if you go over at the wrong part, I mean, even looking back, I mean, you hit a rock, man. Look, people have gone off waterfalls, even in like on the Potomac and Washington, and there's a waterfall there, and people go off it. I think it's 5 Point waterfall or something. I don't know. I think there's It seemed to me, like if I remember right, there's like a couple different places you can go up, but it's a long drop. It's big. I never went down at that, but my next door neighbor, when I was renting a place in Chesterfield, Virginia, you know, I was living by myself, man. I remember it being cold there too, and I didn't run the heater or nothing because I've always been kind of tight on money. I remember a lot of days, man, working construction and waking up in the cold weather and getting in my van and going to work, and when it's still dark out, you know, like it is now. It seems like lifetimes ago, but I used to do it. I used to eat a lot of canned ravioli for lunch, and I had my van. And man, I drove that thing until until I got, you know, somebody hit me and they totaled it. Still ran and everything, but the floorboards I had plywood down on the floorboards. It rusted through. I had to give it up, just like I had to give up sport. And look, that being said, you know, I realize it seems a lifetime ago almost. I mean, I know it was me. I know I did all that and everything, but it's not me anymore. It's a past life. It's like a parallel universe. And when I was waking up, you know, shortly after I hit the bottom of that, you know, of the drop, I guess you might just say, of the slide, and it was like I went down two of them, and you know, somebody told me, you know, who I had to see and stuff, figure out where my class was, but I look for counterparts, you know, when I wake up, like because Carl Jung, you know, he said that every part of the dream, every part of your dream is a piece of you. It's a part of you. You know, it's something in your psyche. Every part of your dream, and so, you know, every person you talk to, every person you see, every person you meet, you know, it's all part of you, and it's you know, fodder for analysis. That's what I should call this one, fodder for analysis. I think if I remember it, I will, because man, I dream a lot, and I go a lot of places. I see a lot of things, different experiences. I can still remember a lot of my dreams. I mean, and a lot of them have been, you know, like I didn't know where I was supposed to be going when I was in school, and they hadn't figured out my routine yet. And that's the way I am with my sign. I already built the you know, the billboard, 12 by 16 feet, elevated, I don't know, at least 4 feet off the ground. And so that was a feat. I did it by myself, just like I did that cross by myself. I do most of my life. I've done everything by myself, and it's no different now. But when I'm waking up, you know, one of, you know, Bob Dylan's song, you know, I swear his music is like timeless. You know, people don't really know him anymore, but he's the inspiration of my life. And you know, I was thinking of the words, my age, it means less. Or my age means nothing and something else means less. I don't know. The country I come from is called the Midwest. I'm pretty sure that comes from, God on my side or something like that, which is a mockery of the concept, especially when it comes to war, because, people think, God is on their side, like as if God is on somebody's side, when the thing is, it's God's dream, of course. I've been, I guess I've been in school all my life. The reason because I listen to philosophy and theories, and the theories that are, espoused and promulgated or propagated or whatever, or talked about by different scientists and people that study the matter. And okay, like right now, for example, it came up on when I woke up. My TV goes on pause when I go to sleep. And I went to sleep last night. Like watching the news about the No Kings marches and rallies, and there are a lot of them. I can't remember how many. I think they said this is the biggest one in history, so far. Like, a long time when I was working at UVA, the medical center, the Million Man March happened, and because I had a guy who was black buddy. He was a buddy of mine. He's black, and he went to it in Washington, and that was a big deal. I didn't really know much about that march at the time. I did keep up. That was like a civil rights march, but anyway, yeah, times have changed. Anyway, stuff comes on my TV from an algorithm, and it feeds me stuff when I'm sleeping. I'm sure some of it informs me because I probably kind of hear it in my sleep, but right now, but when I woke up today, it was about something was coming on called the third phase of the moon, or a third side of the moon, or something like that. I did click on it briefly, I don't know, but then I come up with this here. The government is covering up knowledge of aliens. They are doing a better job of it than they do at anything else. Stephen Hawking. And Stephen Hawking, like I said before, Albert Einstein and Stephen Hawking are kind of, from Albert Einstein to Stephen Hawking is like a big body of knowledge, scientific knowledge. And we're past Stephen Hawking now, because Stephen Hawking's been dead for a while, but I say Stephen Hawking because he was a man among men. I mean, if you ever see him, he was all twisted up and could hardly move, and bound to this chair, that I don't know, and he could talk, but he didn't hardly even move his lips or anything. But he learned how to compensate for his he, like when he was in his 20s or something, he got struck down with, I don't know, something like muscular dystrophy or something. I mean, it crippled him all up. But he still could use his mind, and so he just really took Einstein's principles and understood them, and advanced scientific knowledge forward a lot. Like Einstein, I say my fourth hero. Like, okay, first Jesus Christ, Buddha and Sun Tzu, because Buddha and Sun Tzu are kind of like opposites, And then, because Buddha teaches you to let go, Sun Tzu teaches you to fight. Definitely not letting go. And Jesus Christ, he teaches us about God and redemption and personal sacrifice and love. Okay, so then, Buddha teaches us to let go and undetach, detach from this life and empty yourself and go back into consciousness. They say that Jesus listened, knew about the Buddha's teaching, because the Buddha was 500 years before Jesus, and so was Sun Tzu. They were about the same time, and but Sun Tzu teaches us the art of war, which in this life you have to know. It's imperative. Otherwise, you're going to get decimated. And it's like pulling your head out of your ass. Wake up and smell the coffee. You better listen to Sun Tzu. You better adopt his teaching. And be prepared to fight and die. Well, Jesus teaches you to be prepared to fight and die, except in a different way, and the Apostle Paul, the Apostle Paul is like to Jesus Christ what Stephen Hawking is to Einstein. And don't behave now. Come on in here, behave. And so, but look, I don't know what this life means. I sure am glad I have my dogs. In this life, it's been an advancement for me. Look, I used to have a lot of dogs, and my bill. My food bill. It took. At certain, especially when I quit getting the butcher scrap, because I used to get that, for free, just for helping somebody. And, but my food bill, after I didn't have to pay child support no more, I had to pay like, I don't know, $400 a month or something for a long time, or $450 or something a month. That's a big lot of money for me, because they usually take like 25% of your income, and so it's a big chunk of money for me, and hard to cope with. But at least it was only for my boy Isaac. Or to his mom. The ironic thing was, she married a doctor who made a hell of a lot more money than me. But when they do these calculations, they don't care about who the woman marries, and most time women have keep the children, except in unusual circumstances, which was mine. I kept my first two kids with me, Adam and Amber, and then Isaac, was with his mom. But the thing is, that life is so far in the past now, but I remember it. I remember what it was like, and working hard every day to make ends meet. And I think today people are getting back to that. It's gonna, unless it gets better. I mean, they're taking this Trump regime, that's taking away people's ability to afford health care. Like, usually people have health care with their employer, and they take out money out of your check to make part of the payment, and then your company you work for will pitch in part of the payment for the premiums for your health care. And then, you can go to the doctor and you might only have to pay like a copay, but the insurance covers a lot of the bill. And it's going to be so expensive now. Unless the Democrats stand fast and hold their ground and say not only no, but hell no, and Republicans compromise, because they're given, like I can't remember how many trillion. I think it's like 3 trillion or something like that, Anyway, they're giving $1 trillion tax breaks to the most wealthy. And the most wealthy people in America they are the most wealthy, okay? Bernie Sanders, he always talks about, 3 of them, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, and Mark Zuckerberg. Mark Zuckerberg from Facebook, the founder of Facebook, Bezos, Amazon, and then Elon Musk, SpaceX and Tesla. Those 3 people there combined, they themselves make more money than 3/4 of all the families in America combined. And then there's like the top 1% of America and the top 3% of America. This is called the billionaire class. And I said, okay, Bernie Sanders will say how his ideas for, government-sponsored health care being paid for by our taxes. Well, they're giving all the money to the richest people. And all those richest people are sitting right behind Donald Trump, our president. And he don't give a rat's ass about America. He's serving the rich and the autocrats because he wants to be in that club. And he is now. He was always fake, but he was never really as rich as he made it out like he was or anything, because he bankrupted everything basically and lied about stuff, used other people's money. But now, so when he got in office, now, he's rubbing shoulders with people that are really substantial, heads of nations, stuff like that, and people in the government that are oligarchs. And anyway, I don't want to talk about all that. It's a very disturbing and ugly concept of reality. But anyway, this for me. This is with my dreams and everything. I can let this life go, because I have no more children, and even though I'm hoping I'm talking to you, my grandchildren, it's not like I have any grandchildren. They've been kind of like taken away from me in this construct. But nevertheless, you are my grandchildren, especially if you see this. It's just that, my own children have stepped out of my life. And it's been like a funeral an age ago, and they don't talk to me anymore, and it's not like they're even real. I know I have no idea, where they are really. I have no addresses. I have no phone numbers. Well, at least I did have a phone number to my daughter, and my son Isaac, but I have sent them messages, but they don't respond. So it's like, to me, I mean, they're dead and disappeared. They've been disappeared, from my life, and they are no more. They don't have any bearing or impact. We have no conversation. They're not part of my life anymore. And whereas I think about them, I think about all my dead dogs, who I deeply love, but they're dead. And I'm not ever going to really in this life be able to talk to them again. Charlie came to me in my dreams, in my dream the other night. And, I sometimes, like, when I go in certain places, even now, I kind of see sports, ethereal spirit there, like where he used to lay and stuff. And I look, make sure he's not really there. And it's because stuff is spooky. And like even like, my own parents, they're gone, but like now I felt, and it seemed like, they came together a while back and talked to me. And it seems like that they're in a place, maybe outside of time and space now, but yet in a place of being, and they're doing something. And they're not hating on each other. I'm not saying that they're reunited, but they're not hating on each other. And I'm sure it's like that, even now, with my own kids. And even though my grandchildren are distant, when I look at my family tree, I think about one of my uncles, great uncles. He in the genealogy, I think he was married once and then never married again and lived alone. And that's exactly like what I have done. Even though I have a child and two children by two different women, I spent most of my life and time in solitude and being alone. And even in my dreams, I mean, I'm not ever, with a woman. But in my dreams, at my age, I'm not 62 years old, or 63, whatever I am. No, can't. I'm not sure. But I'm younger. Like I'm going to school. And anyway, it seems to me that I'm doing a little bit of just rambling and a stream of consciousness right now about just waking up, after just waking up. But it seems like, like I'm getting on in other worlds of experience, for whatever that means. And I'm unencumbered by attachment to this life. And because, I have no kids anymore. And I don't ever see you and my grandchildren, but I am hoping, since I am a grandfather, that I can leave you a bit of advice and understanding as a person who has stoked the coals and stoked the fire and left the coals and the ashes, and you can dig up a few of those coals out of my fire and use them, because I've been here, before you. And I give you my heart and my soul and my mind and my emotion and my, internal and intestinal fortitude, and the thing that, helps me and helped me in this life. Carrying on. Doing what we must to survive and to be and make the world a better place and to become better people. Out of the corner of my eye, it looked like on my TV I seen somebody walk across there. I swear. Now I see like floaters sometimes in my vision, and it's kind of funny because it reminds me of electronic circuitry, and they say that this is the way energy and stuff. It's kind of like a really computer-based simulation. You can see video and stuff on a computer, and everything comes to the front of your vision. Everything, and it's really astounding that everything is based on zeros and ones, on and off, and that's through these mathematical calculations and equations that they have figured out and know how it works. Of course, I don't, but they, being the scientists in that advanced realm of knowledge, and the people that care for that knowledge, they understand that everything comes to us, everything we see, like on the TV or whatever, and it's based on the language is zeros and ones. That's it. Look. It's hard to understand. Some stuff is hard to believe. But just because you can't understand it and it's hard to believe, don't mean that it's not real, that it's not true. That's why, if the government is covering up knowledge of aliens, well, some people believe, the aliens are out there. Some people believe that in the Antarctica there's aliens underground. But anyway, that being said, I'm really rambling. 33 minutes. I feel like right now in my journal entry, this is a day after the first big rally that I went to, and it feels to me like I went to a funeral in my subconscious and in my waking. And now the challenge set before me is I gotta put something out there on my sign and be. I gotta make my statement and then be done with it, and get on to other important things that I need to attend to make this life better, for me, stuff that I have to build, stuff that I have to do, messes that I have to clean up, and fortresses that I need to strengthen, and disciplines that I need to Look, I've set my guitar down, for a long time. I haven't picked it up. And there was a time when I thought, my guitar, learning my guitar will save me. And it probably would save me because it would take away the stress of all this political stuff and this anger that it drives in me. Yeah. I give myself to music and be better. Okay? Okay, so that's what I'm going to call this one, being better. Because that's where I'm at right now. I got to be better and got to move on. Unattached, because I am unattached from everybody and everything. And I'm free to be better. That's it. We all got to arrive at that place where we're free to be better. Young men will see visions, old men will dream dreams. That's what my dreams tell me, that my life is not stopping here. And my children, just like my children, I mean, they're being free. They're doing what they want to do. And I hope they stand with a lot of happiness and joy and proudly in their pursuits. And for you, my grandchildren, I hope so, because they make for you to have a better life and be better and stronger. And, we're all in this together. Anyway, I love myself and I love you. All right, bye.